The diplomatic breaking point. Ambassador Thomas Harrison stood before the Galactic Council's vast chamber, his weathered face betraying no emotion as thousands of alien eyes studied him with barely concealed contempt. The crystalline dome above caught starlight in its facets, casting prismatic patterns across the assembled delegates of 300 species. This was to be Earth's final petition for full council membership, though only Harrison and a select few knew just how final it would truly be. High Counselor Vexrith of the Aetherian Dominion rose from his hovering platform, his bioluminescent patterns pulsing with what Harrison had learned to recognize as smug satisfaction. We return to the matter of Earth's petition for full council membership. The alien's harmonics resonated through the chamber. Though I wonder why we waste the council's valuable time with such persistence. In the observation gallery, Harrison's aide, Isabella Martins, maintained a perfect poker face while monitoring the quantum feed broadcasting this moment to billions of humans back on Earth. Everything was proceeding exactly as planned. The species in question, Vexrith continued, his tentacles weaving elaborate patterns in the air, has achieved spaceflight mere centuries ago. Their colonies, if one can call such primitive outpost colonies, number barely 50 systems. Chittering laughter rippled through the chamber. Their artificial intelligences would struggle to manage a child's toy by Aetherian standards. Harrison remained still, letting the insults wash over him. In his earpiece, Isabella's whisper confirmed, quantum feed reaching 97% of Earth's population. Emotional response metrics are optimal. High Counselor, Harrison's voice carried clearly across the chamber, if you would permit me to present our recent achievements. Achievements? Vexrith interrupted, his bioluminescence flaring with amusement. Let us be direct, Ambassador. Your species is, at best, a clever pet mimicking its betters. You utilize technologies you barely comprehend, traded from the rim worlds. Your economy is a chaotic mess of contradictions. His upper tentacles spread wide, addressing the entire chamber. Look at their representative, wearing synthesized clothing probably manufactured using templates borrowed from more advanced species, thinking he belongs among us. The chamber erupted in laughter. Harrison counted silently in his head. 3 months. In 3 months, they would remember this moment very differently. I move to deny Earth's petition for full membership, Vexrith announced. Let them remain as an associated minor world where they belong. The vote was swift and devastating. Out of 3,000 council members, only 15 voted in Earth's favor, all from younger spacefaring races who remembered their own struggles for recognition. Harrison gathered himself up, his voice steady. The people of Earth hear and acknowledge the council's decision. Something in his tone made several delegates shift uncomfortably in their seats. We will, of course, continue our efforts to improve ourselves. As he turned to leave, Vexrith couldn't resist a final barb. Perhaps in another millennium or two, you'll be ready to join civilized society. Harrison paused at the chamber doors, allowing himself the smallest of smiles. Perhaps, High Counselor. Time will tell. In his earpiece, Isabella's voice was tight with controlled excitement. Feed terminated. 12 billion humans just watched that, sir. Operation Prometheus is go. As the massive doors swung shut behind him, Harrison thought about the massive underground complexes on Earth, the hidden fleets in dark space, the quantum laboratories that had already surpassed anything the council races had achieved. They had pushed humanity into a corner, assuming they were dealing with a primitive species playing at civilization. They would learn. In the coming months, the galaxy would discover exactly what happened when humanity stopped playing by their rules. The Council had just witnessed humanity's last act of submission, though they didn't know it yet. The next time these chambers saw a human representative, it would be under very different circumstances. Harrison's quantum communicator chirped with a priority message from Earth Command. Phase 1 complete. Initiate Phase 2. The game was about to change, and the Council races hadn't even realized they were players. Project Oracle's dawn. Deep beneath the Antarctic ice, Director Samantha Way stood in the central command hub of Project Oracle, watching data streams flow across quantum displays. The facility stretched for miles in every direction, invisible to the Council's most sophisticated scanning technology. 3 months had passed since Ambassador Harrison's calculated humiliation, and humanity had been anything but idle. "Status report," she commanded, her voice carrying across the vast chamber where hundreds of Earth's brightest minds worked with singular purpose. "Quantum fold breakthrough in Sector 7, reported Dr. James Okonjo, his dark eyes gleaming with excitement. "The team has achieved 400% efficiency improvement over Council standards. We're ready for mass implementation." Samantha allowed herself a small smile. The Council races thought they'd been mentoring humanity, carefully controlling which technologies they shared. They never realized they were actually providing benchmarks, targets for humanity to not just meet, but surpass. "What about Project Prometheus?" she asked, turning to her holographic display. The facility's AI, Araya, materialized beside her. Manufacturing complexes on all continents are operating at 147% of projected capacity. The Council's surveillance networks continue to show only what we want them to see: abandoned industrial zones and declining technological activity. A gentle rumble passed through the facility as another production level came online. Below them, stretching through artificially created caverns, assembly lines worked tirelessly, producing technologies that would make the Council's best look primitive by comparison. Director Araya announced, "Admiral Patel is requesting immediate conference." The quantum display shifted, showing the stern face of Admiral Priya Patel, commander of Earth's hidden fleet. "Samantha, we've got movement. The Etherians are beginning their planned expansion into the Arcturus sector." "Right on schedule," Samantha nodded. "They still think we're abandoning our research outposts there. Their intelligence services took our bait completely. Their fleet will arrive in 3 days, expecting to find abandoned human facilities ripe for archaeological study." Priya's smile was predatory. "They have no idea they're about to discover just how much we've been hiding." Samantha brought up the strategic display. Hundreds of stealth satellites, invisible to Council detection methods, showed the approaching Etherian fleet. They were using their standard formation, confident in their technological superiority. "Dr. Okonjo," she called out, "is the quantum mesh ready?" James looked up from his workstation. "Better than ready. The moment they enter the Arcturus system, we can activate the field. Their much-vaunted faster-than-light drives will simply stop working." In another section of the facility, Dr. Lydia Volkov's team was putting the finishing touches on humanity's trump card. "Director," she called out, "the gravity manipulation matrix is ready for deployment. Once activated, their ships won't be able to maintain their structural integrity without our help." Samantha surveyed the busy chamber, pride swelling in her chest. This was humanity's true face, not the humble, submissive mask they'd shown the Council, but a species that had learned to turn adversity into advantage. "Director," ARI interrupted, "we're receiving a priority message from Beijing Complex. Dr. Zhang's team has achieved quantum consciousness integration." This news brought Samantha to a momentary pause. "They're ahead of schedule. Show me." The display shifted to show laboratory footage from the Chinese facility. What looked like a simple neural interface was successfully bridging human consciousness with quantum computing systems, allowing direct mental control of advanced technology. The Council races thought humans were barely capable of managing basic AI. They had no idea that humanity had already transcended traditional computational limitations. "How soon can we implement this across the fleet?" she asked. "Full integration within 2 weeks," Araya responded. "Admiral Patel's crews are already running simulations." Samantha opened a secure channel to Earth Command. "This is Director Y. Project Oracle is proceeding ahead of schedule. All primary objectives are green. Requesting authorization to proceed with Phase 3. The response was immediate. "Authorization granted. Show them what humanity can really do." She turned to her assembled team. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time. Begin synchronized activation of all hidden facilities. Bring the quantum mesh online. Deploy the gravity manipulation systems. She paused, allowing herself to savor the moment. Let's give the Council a proper demonstration of human ingenuity. Across the planet, similar facilities hummed to life. In orbit, cloaked satellites prepared to reveal themselves. In dark space, hidden fleets powered up weapons that defied Council physics. Earth had spent decades playing the role of an obedient, developing civilization. That mask was about to come off. The Aetherian fleet approaching Arcturus had no idea they were about to become the first witnesses to humanity's true capabilities. Their archaeological survey was about to become a very different kind of historical event. Send word to Ambassador Harrison, Samantha ordered. Tell him to prepare for Phase 3. It's time to show the Council exactly what they've been mocking. The game was changing, and humanity held all the cards. The next few days would reshape the galaxy's understanding of what humans were truly capable of. The Council's patronizing smiles were about to fade very quickly indeed. The economic checkmate. Grand Commerce Minister Nixtroll of the Aetherian Dominion burst into the emergency council session, his bioluminescent patterns flashing chaotic patterns of distress. The usually immaculate crystalline chamber was in disarray, with representatives from across the galaxy demanding answers. Our entire quantum fold network has collapsed, he announced, tentacles writhing in agitation. 50% of our fleet is stranded in the Arcturus sector, completely immobilized by some kind of interference field. Director Victoria Rossi watched from Earth's observer gallery, her expression carefully neutral. After decades of being treated as the galaxy's bargain basement resource supplier, humanity was about to demonstrate the true meaning of economic warfare. If I may address the Council, she stepped forward, her voice carrying across the chaos. The chamber fell silent, thousands of alien eyes turning to the human representative they'd dismissed countless times before. Earth has recently conducted a thorough review of our trade agreements, she began, activating a holographic display. We've made some interesting discoveries about resource dependencies across Council space. High Counselor Vexrith's bioluminescence pulsed with irritation. This is hardly the time for. For instance, Victoria continued smoothly. The quantum fold drives your ships rely on. They require crystalline matrix elements, 90% of which come from Earth's primitive mining operations. She paused, letting that sink in. Operations which have, regrettably, encountered some technical difficulties this morning. The chamber erupted in pandemonium. Victoria's earpiece crackled with updates from Earth Command. Market chaos confirmed. Council trading systems overloading. Phase 3 proceeding as planned. This is extortion. Nixtroll bellowed, his translator struggling to keep up with his agitation. Not at all. Victoria smiled. We're simply experiencing technical issues, much like the ones you predicted we'd have, given our primitive understanding of technology. On massive displays around the chamber, financial markets across Council space plummeted. Industries dependent on Earth's simple resources ground to a halt. Ships all across known space found themselves unable to engage their faster-than-light drives. Of course, Victoria continued, Earth is prepared to assist in resolving these issues. We've prepared a new trade agreement. She gestured, and a document materialized in the air before each council member. The terms were unprecedented. Full technology sharing, unrestricted trade access, diplomatic parity. More importantly, hidden in the complex legal language was a complete restructuring of the galaxy's economic power dynamics. This is impossible, one of the Meridian representatives whispered, reading through the document. These terms, you've integrated failsafes into every critical resource we depend on. How long have you been planning this? Planning. Victoria raised an eyebrow. We're just a primitive species, remember, barely capable of understanding the technologies we use. Another alert chimed in her earpiece. Stage 2 of market intervention complete. 90% of council-based corporations are now dependent on Earth-controlled supply chains. You have 1 standard hour to consider the terms, Victoria announced. After that, we'll be forced to begin emergency conservation measures. I'm sure you understand. Being a developing world, we must be careful with our resources. The chamber dissolved into frantic discussions. Victoria caught fragments of panicked conversations. Trade routes collapsing. Industries shutting down. Entire economies teetering on the brink. Director, her AI assistant whispered in her ear, the Arcturus fleet is requesting emergency assistance. Their life support systems are beginning to show strain under the quantum interference. How unfortunate, Victoria murmured. Send them the new trade agreement. Let them be the first to experience humanity's generous nature. Around the chamber, more reports flooded in. The carefully constructed house of cards that was the Council's economic supremacy was collapsing. Centuries of treating Earth as a mere resource provider had blinded them to a simple truth. Dependency works both ways. This must have taken years to set up, one of the younger race representatives said, approaching Victoria quietly. The resource chains, the hidden dependencies, the technological triggers. Decades, Victoria confirmed softly. Since the first day you welcomed us into your civilized society as junior partners, we learned your economics, studied your dependencies, and quietly became indispensable while appearing primitive. The chamber's massive chronometer ticked down. With each passing minute, more corporate empires crumbled, more ships found themselves stranded, more industries ground to a halt. The message was clear. The galaxy's economy now danced to Earth's tune. 40 minutes remaining, Victoria announced to the chamber. I should mention, these terms are our opening offer. They become less favorable with each passing hour. In her earpiece, Earth Command confirmed. Phase 3 complete. Proceed to Phase 4 when ready. Victoria allowed herself a small smile. The economic news had been perfectly placed and tightened. Now it was time to show them what humanity had been doing with all those resources they'd so generously paid for over the years. The galaxy was about to learn that humanity's greatest weapon wasn't its hidden fleets or advanced technology. It was the patience to spend decades building the perfect trap, and the wisdom to know exactly when to spring it. Technological avalanche. Commander Rachel Winters stood aboard the orbital station, Prometheus, watching Earth rotate slowly beneath her. The massive holographic countdown dominated the station's central chamber, its numbers steadily ticking toward 0. All channels secured, her communications officer reported. We're broadcasting across all council frequencies. Even their attempts to block the transmission are playing into our hands. Rachel nodded, straightening her uniform. Viewership estimates. 20 billion across council space, another 15 billion in the independent systems. The Aetherian attempt to censor the broadcast has only made everyone more desperate to see it. The countdown reached 0. Rachel stepped forward, her image now being projected across thousands of worlds. Greetings to all sentient beings across known space. I'm Commander Rachel Winters of the Earth Science Division. She paused, letting the translators catch up. 3 months ago, the Galactic Council deemed humanity too primitive for full membership. Today, we'd like to share some of our primitive achievements. She gestured, and the space behind her exploded into a massive display of technical schematics and patents. What you're seeing is the first wave of 100,000 technological innovations Earth has developed independently. As of this moment, we're releasing all of these patents into the public domain. The first set of schematics expanded, showing a revolutionary approach to quantum engineering. This is the Winters-Paddle quantum matrix. It's approximately 1,000 times more efficient than current Council standard systems. We've been using them for about a decade now. Alerts began flooding in from across Council space as their analysts started processing the data. Rachel continued, each revelation striking like a thunderbolt. Here we have the same gravitational manipulation system. Yes, those crude gravity plates you mocked. We improved them by roughly 500%. And this, she brought up another schematic, is the Zhao energy converter. It produces clean energy at about 1/20th the cost of your fusion plants. We've included full manufacturing specifications. Any world with basic industrial capacity can build one. The stream of incoming messages became a flood. Council corporations watched billions in research investment evaporate as their products became obsolete in real time. For those interested in medicine, Rachel continued, bringing up a new set of diagrams. This is our cellular regeneration technology. It cures approximately 90% of known genetic diseases across all documented species. We developed it 5 years ago, but held back release, concerned it might be too advanced for our primitive understanding. In her earpiece, her XO reported, "They're trying to hack our database." "Right on schedule," Rachel smiled. "Release the viral packets." Every attempt to steal Earth's data was met with an overwhelming flood of even more advanced technologies. The more they tried to hack, the more innovations they were forced to receive. "We'll be releasing new patents every hour for the next week," Rachel announced. "And since we believe in open science, we've included detailed documentation of how we developed each innovation. You'll find everything was achieved without using any restricted council technologies." After all, her smile turned predatory. We wouldn't want anyone thinking we were just mimicking our betters. The incoming reports were chaos. The Etherian Technology Exchange had completely shut down. 3 major council research institutes had announced immediate restructuring. The younger worlds were celebrating as they downloaded manufacturing specifications that would revolutionize their societies. "Oh, and one final note," Rachel added as she prepared to end the broadcast. "These are just the technologies we're comfortable sharing. Draw your own conclusions about what we've kept classified." As the transmission ended, she opened a secure channel to Earth Command. Phase 4 complete. The technological facade is down. They're properly terrified of what else we might have hidden. In the following hours, the galaxy's power structure underwent a seismic shift. Smaller worlds, armed with Earth's freely shared innovations, began breaking away from their council dependencies. Corporate empires that had mocked humanity's primitive technology found themselves rendered obsolete overnight. Rachel watched the chaos unfold on multiple displays, remembering all the years of calculated humiliation, of being treated as barely civilized novelties. The council races had never understood a fundamental truth about humanity. Sometimes the most dangerous predator is the one that plays dead until the perfect moment to strike. "Commander," her XO approached, "we're receiving thousands of diplomatic requests. Seems everyone wants to negotiate new treaties with Earth now." "How interesting," Rachel mused. "Tell them they'll need to go through proper diplomatic channels. I believe Ambassador Harrison is preparing quite a reception for them back in the council chambers." The galaxy was learning a harsh lesson about humanity. They weren't primitive, they were patient, and that patience had just run out. A new galactic order. Ambassador Thomas Harrison stood once again in the Galactic Council chamber, but this time everything was different. The crystalline dome above no longer seemed to loom with authority. Instead, it felt like a relic of fading power. The assembled representatives sat in tense silence, their previous condescension replaced by barely concealed anxiety. "Delegates of the Council," Harrison began, his voice carrying the weight of humanity's newfound position. "6 months ago, I stood in this chamber and accepted your judgment of humanity's status. Today, I stand before you to present a new galactic charter." High Counselor Vexrith's bioluminescence had dimmed considerably since their last meeting. "The Council does not recognize Earth's authority, Toe." "The Council," Harrison interrupted smoothly, "now represents barely 30% of galactic economic activity. Over 200 worlds have already signed Earth's new open technology and trade agreements. The old order," he smiled, "much like your obsolete technologies, has been superseded." The holographic displays activated, showing the new reality. Worlds that had once been dismissed as primitive were now flourishing with Earth's freely shared innovations. Former council dependencies had declared independence, armed with technologies that had been withheld from them for centuries. "Let me be clear," Harrison continued. "This is not revenge. This is evolution. The age of technological hoarding and artificial hierarchies is over. Earth proposes a new system, one of genuine cooperation and shared advancement." The new charter materialized before each delegate. Some gasped as they read its contents. The proposed structure would demolish centuries of carefully maintained power imbalances. "You're dismantling the entire council system," one of the Meridian representatives observed, their four eyes wide with disbelief. "We're transforming it," Harrison corrected. "Every sentient species, regardless of their development stage, will have an equal voice. Technology and knowledge will be shared openly. The era of primitive and advanced worlds ends today." In the observation gallery, Director Way's hologram appeared beside him. "The first wave of quantum consciousness integration has been successfully implemented across the independent worlds," she reported. "The younger races are advancing decades within months." Harrison nodded, watching the council members' reactions. Some looked terrified, others appeared relieved, and a few showed genuine excitement. The old guard was crumbling, and a new order was rising from its ashes. "Humanity's greatest achievement," Harrison addressed the chamber, "wasn't our hidden technologies or our economic strategy. It was our patience, the willingness to endure centuries of condescension while we prepared for this moment. We could have revealed our true capabilities years ago, but we waited until we could ensure the transformation would benefit all species, not just ourselves." The chamber erupted in discussion. Harrison's earpiece chimed with updates from Earth Command. The quantum mesh network now connected thousands of worlds, bypassing the Council's ancient communication systems. Cultural exchanges were happening at unprecedented rates as barriers between primitive and advanced species dissolved. "You have one standard day to ratify the new charter," Harrison announced. "Though given that most of your world's governing bodies have already indicated their support, this is largely a formality." He turned to leave, then paused. "Oh, and High Counselor Vexrith, remember when you said we might be ready to join civilized society in another millennium?" Harrison smiled. "You were right about one thing. It was about time. Just not in the way you imagined." As he left the chamber, Harrison received confirmation that Phase 5 was complete. The galaxy's transformation was irreversible now. The old power structures were dissolving, replaced by a new order based on genuine cooperation and shared advancement. In Earth's hidden facilities, new technologies were already being developed, not to be hoarded, but to be shared. The quantum consciousness network was expanding, allowing species to share experiences and knowledge directly. Cultural barriers were falling as ancient prejudices gave way to understanding. Humanity had done more than prove its worth. It had fundamentally changed the rules of the game. The galaxy was entering a new age, one where no species would be dismissed as primitive, where knowledge would flow freely, and where cooperation would replace competition. As Harrison's shuttle departed the Council station, he opened a channel to Earth Command. "Final phase complete. Operation Prometheus has succeeded beyond our highest projections." The response came back immediately. "Well done, Ambassador. Welcome to the new galaxy. This time, we all advance together." The stars seemed brighter somehow, as if reflecting the dawn of a new era. Humanity had been underestimated, dismissed, and mocked. In response, they had done something unprecedented. They had used their moment of triumph not for revenge, but for transformation. The galaxy would never be the same, and that was exactly what humanity had planned all along.